Superheroes, arguably the most popular genre in comic books. Decades of stories have given us interesting characters and the impossible powers that go with them. Considered to be the first and possibly most important superhero of all time is Superman. His success opened the door for the creation and publication of even more superpowered paragons, one of which is the Flash. Flash is one of the first superheroes to feature a single superpower, as opposed to the many Superman clones of the time. This superpower was his amazing speed, earning him the title of fastest man alive. But with many superheroes having similar abilities, it invites the question, who can beat who? One of the most asked of these questions is, Superman vs. Flash, who's faster? Superman issue 199, released in August of 1967, featured the very first time these two speed demons would be pit against each other. They've had many races since then, with differing results. In most cases, it's a tie. Sometimes Flash wins, sometimes Superman wins, making it difficult to determine once and for all who's faster. But we can finally find out the answer with a little comic book knowledge, a lot of research, and math. Our investigation first takes us to December 3rd, 1964, and Flash issue 150. In this particular issue, Flash tests the limit of his speed and ends up running 10 times the speed of light, but as a result of straining every muscle in his body. We can thus establish his top recorded speed at 10 times the speed of light. Our next stop is January 2001 and the release of a one-shot comic, Superman Lex 2000. In this comic, it's announced that Lex Luthor has won the 2000 United States presidential elections. Superman's reaction to this is a fit of rage where he flies off to what is described as a small dead moon off Saturn. This interplanetary spaceflight is stated to take 4 minutes. Now, the moon in question is not named, but for fairness sake, let's assume it's the one closest to the Earth at the given date. In real life, the 2000 US presidential elections were held on Tuesday, November 7th. The results were announced early on Wednesday, November 8th at approximately 2:30 a.m. In order to find out which of Saturn's 83 moons was closest to Earth at that particular time, I used the virtual solar system simulator from Solarsystemscope.com. I really have to give props in this vid. Their simulator is beautiful, comes with fitting music, and only costs a little over $9. There's also a free version you can use in your browser. Using this simulator, I found that the moon Dione was closest to Earth at that exact time. A quick Google search shows that all of Saturn's moons are listed as being 1.272 billion kilometers away from Earth. Our numbers need to take orbital paths into account to be a bit more precise, so we're going to do a little subtracting. Saturn is 1.3697 billion kilometers away from Earth. On that particular day at that particular time, its orbit puts it at 1.217,472 billion kilometers away. I calculated the distance by using this nifty site called timeanddate.com. They have some really cool information on there, so give them a look. Since the distance from Dione to Saturn itself is 377,400 kilometers, coincidentally almost the same distance our own moon is from our planet Earth, I'm subtracting that amount because that's how much closer to Earth Dione would then be at that given time and date. This leaves us with a distance of 1,270,094,600 kilometers. And now for some math. So, the distance flown by Superman is 1,217,094,600 kilometers in 4 minutes, or 240 seconds. Divide this distance by said 240 seconds, and the Man of Steel has a whopping speed of 5,071,227.5 kilometers per second. For reference, the speed of light is equal to 300,000 kilometers per second. Take the speed and divide it by the speed of light, and the answer is 16.9. Again, to be fair, we'll round the number down, but this still means that Big Blue was flying at 16 times the speed of light. This is considerably faster than the Flash's 10 times, so there's your answer right there. But wait, Desmond, I can hear you seasoned comic book readers type in the comment section already. There are multiple characters who've held the title Flash, to which I say, you are correct, sir! Barry Allen is the most famous Flash, but the lesser known Jake Garrick was actually the first. I'll cover the importance of legacy characters in an upcoming video, so be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can catch all of that awesomeness when it drops. But Desmond, I hear your keyboards typing as they strain under committed fingers. You need to talk about Wally West. Again, you are correct. Jay was the first Flash, Barry is the most famous, but Wally is the fastest one by far. This is because of his unique connection to the Speed Force, bestowing upon him several abilities that other speedsters lack. Wally has his own equation floating around the internet, claiming that he once ran at 13 trillion times the speed of light. Now that would be an impressive feat indeed, more than enough to leave the Man of Tomorrow worlds behind. That is, if it actually happened. I don't know who did the math on this event, so I can't give credit where it's due. But it revolves around issue 89 of Justice League of America Volume 1. In this issue, Wally West as the Flash transports 532,000 people to safety 56 kilometers away from a nuclear blast in several trips. The comic states that he does this by carrying them one by one, sometimes 2 people at a time, all within 0.00001 seconds. It's a little difficult to calculate just how fast he'd be going since we don't know exactly how many times he carried a single person or 2 at a time. I'm going to assume that the math done was correct, because that many people across that much of a distance in that little time would probably be close to 13 trillion. However, many people on the internet who reference this calculation fail to cite the rest of the issue. On the very same page that those earlier numbers are mentioned, it stated that Wally traveled at, and I quote, a hair's breadth short of the speed of light. The very next page states that he traveled at near light speed. Since this is mentioned twice, it leads me to conclude that a time of 0.00001 seconds was an error in writing. Even at the speed of light itself, it would take Wally more than that to transport all of those people. This particular issue was written by Grant Morrison, who not only has a penchant for hyperbole, but also wrote another comic book issue featuring an incredible feat by Wally West, Flash Volume 2, issue 136. In this particular issue, Wally participates in an intergalactic race that has him outrunning Zeta Beams. Zeta Beams perform instantaneous teleportation, carrying Adam Strange from Earth 40 trillion kilometers to the planet Ran. Thus, they are considerably faster than light. We never see Wally actually race the beam, so we don't know the circumstances of that race, such as the distance that needed to be covered. I can't objectively add Wally outrunning a beam with a speed of 40 trillion kilometers as a feat. It should also be noted that the track they're racing on is said by Flash himself to curve through space and time. So this could explain how he was able to end up from one end of the universe on the other side. To beat a 40 trillion kilometer beam, he simply needed to find the right exit. But Desmond, I can hear you now yelling, your keyboard since disintegrated to dust under the immense pressures of furious typing. If Superman's faster, how come Flash won some of those races? Well friends, the answer to that question has to do with a superhero from the home of DC's rival publisher, Marvel Comics. In Age of Ultron, the Avengers engage in a friendly contest over who can lift the enchanted Mjolnir, proving to be worthy. No one seems to succeed, but the hammer clearly moves ever so slightly when Steve Rogers is up. According to the Russos, Steve was always worthy of lifting Mjolnir.
Nothing.
Why then has he never wielded it before the penultimate battle in Endgame? Simply put, because he never had a reason to. Superman, much like Captain America, is not one for showing off. Most of the races between Superman and Flash were for charity, with earnings going to a good cause regardless of who won. It's a well-known fact that Superman has imposed mental blocks upon himself, preventing him from accidentally hurting someone with his staggering abilities. In times when he needed to, however, Superman proves he's got more in the tank. There were times when Flash poses danger to innocent lives, times that Superman decided to push himself to win a charity race because the earnings would be lost, due to some villain's sinister plot involving Flash being the victor. Now, I know that some would prefer Flash being the fastest. I've heard some people say that if Superman possesses superior speed, it undermines the entire point of the Flash. For me, it's a testament to the caliber of Flash, since Superman has to be at his best to match him. It also serves as a reminder that the Big Blue Boy Scout will always be the best of them. Not so much because of his abilities, but because of his humility. #Glenn Powell for Nova.